Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Button, Season 5, Episode 13, a bad luck number, very fitting. I am your host, Alejandro, to me with a full panel of beloved gentlemen. With me, my original co-host.
Paul, hey everybody, I'm still here.
Yes, and my other temporary co-host.
Excuse me, temporary sir, how dare you? Hey everybody, Joe LaRussa here, dressed up a little bit, got a nice collar for the big day here, you know.
Hell yeah, and joining us, a friend of the show and host of the Spreading the Nerd podcast, and also a victim of GameStop customer service.
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
And I'm a slob today, so.
Yes. very fitting. How are you guys doing? Like, I've been awake very early because of the thing we had to watch, but I want to hear from you guys real quick.
I'm alive. I worked from home today, so it's a win-win all around.
And you, Joe?
I'm good. I am the least Nintendo fan of anyone ever, apparently, so this was just another day for me with a long press conference to have in the background while I did my real job. But otherwise, doing well. Yes.
And you, Rick?
I'm okay. I technically worked today, but didn't really do much. But I'm good otherwise.
Yeah. We certainly, during those off time, we were chatting a lot. It's the reason why you're here today, because we're kind of saying a lot about the things that were happening today in the day of April 2nd, because this is finally the day that Nintendo decided to unveil all the details that they wanted to about the Switch 2 that they teased 3 months ago, back in January 16th, which is wild. It's been that long. And let's just say it's been a roller coaster. But before we talk any of that, this is just a reminder that this is the X Bottom podcast, Escapes Gaming podcast that posts every Fridays from 10 a.m. Central Time onwards, God willing. Available in the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. You can find links in the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escapegaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. And usually here's where we talk what we've been playing. To try to not dwell too much, I'm waiting to play some stuff that's coming later this week, so I haven't really been playing anything worthy of talk. Joe, you're still playing the same games from last time, right?
Pretty much. Nothing really worth noting.
Yeah, so Paul, you have been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and you kind of at least wanted to give some words
That
there.
I have. That is a game that I cannot believe exists. I cannot believe that it has not been iterated on since. It's really the Shadow of Mordor situation, except there's no really weird cryptic copyright to stop everyone else from doing it. It's just we never did it again. We did this thing that makes it, 10 times the size of Skyrim, and all of this stuff, no loading screens, mechs that you can leave and run around. You have like 8 classes you can switch between, like 20 companions that you can have. Supposedly a great story. I've only gotten to like part of it, but it's just freaking nuts. I can't believe this stuff exists. Alejandro, what you got there? You got something?
It's a breaking news and related to the Switch, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, yeah, that can wait then.
Let's just say that, but keep talking.
Because Xenoblade's really cool, and y'all should also definitely go play it. There's definitely a few sticking points, a few things that did not age well, a few quality of life areas that they just kind of ignored. There are at least 2 side quests, because there's this weird thing where you cannot accept affinity or story missions as long as you have accepted one of those 2 already, and you cannot quit them. So if you pick one that's like, oh, you have to like grind to get this really unexpectedly difficult thing, or it's random, you're stuck there until you get it. So I've seen a lot of people online being really miffed about that, at least. But overall, I've had an extremely positive time with it. I just keep playing it in my lunch breaks, and it's a lot of fun. That's it.
At least that's working instead of the PS Portal you have to give back.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick, anything that you've been playing or that you kind of want to mention?
Well, I don't have a lot to say, but so anybody that knows me, Alex, you know that I bounce around like crazy to a lot of things. Well, because of how busy it has been the last 2 months or so, I've decided to narrow down what I'm playing to basically 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom Come Deliverance, 2. Assassin's Creed Shadows, Atom Fall, and I forget what the other one is. Monster Hunter. That's what it was. Yeah. Monster Hunter. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about any of those that hasn't already been said. Big fan of all 4 of them. That's all I can really say.
Cool. So now we can just then move on to like the big topic for today, which was finally Nintendo giving us some news about the Nintendo Switch 2. So obviously we got the 1 hour direct, and then some news that started breaking after the direct that one would think would be at the showcase, but they were put afterwards for a reason, and you can kind of see it with the reactions, but just kind of like top level thoughts. What do you think of the direct? I'm going to start with Paul.
Overall, pretty positive, I think. But barring any slight sticking points, and slight is in quotation marks, that I'm sure we'll get into later. But overall, I had like a list of top 5 games that we'll talk about in more detail, but there were some things that I did not expect to be there. I was pleasantly surprised many times. Genuinely and generally, the tech looks good. I like what they're doing with it aesthetically and not just stylistically but mechanically, and it was like a good like B-ish for what was specifically in the showcase itself.
Cool. Joe, you kind of, I know you're slightly lower. You have some top level thoughts in what you saw.
It was fine. It had a lot of good in it in terms of showing the third party support for the system, which I think is really important for the console going forward. If we're, and I know we'll talk about price and whatnot later on, but when you look at the cost of things and whether you want to pay it, you have to recognize, am I going to get my money's worth out of this? This it almost seems like Nintendo is kind of trying to not be the second console anymore. It seems like Nintendo says, nope, we're not, and also a Nintendo Switch. We have a Nintendo Switch. And it's funny that they seem to be doing that, but still emphasizing their handheld capabilities and the ability to like buy multiple Switches. And to me, it's like, why is a person going to buy multiple Switches at this price point versus, just buying one Switch for the household? And that's, I don't know. So overall, I thought it was a decent showcase of games. I like that it had the third-party support to show that, the publishers are behind Nintendo. I was a little underwhelmed with the first-party showing of Nintendo because there really wasn't, if you really look at it, not a lot of new. There wasn't much new. It's new to Switch, new to Nintendo, but there wasn't new. And that is a little disappointing for the big reveal of the console when you're supposed to talk about everything, including games. I mean, it was, and the reveal of the technical details of the, and I don't mean the internal workings, but I mean the features, the feature set of the new console. That was cool. That was well done. I don't think anybody cares about the new C buttons chat functionality or anything like that. But I do think that it was a well done presentation to announce all of those things. I just think that they kind of flubbed in the actual new game announcements portion of it.
Yeah, I feel that's a fair enough. And you say it was like between a C plus and a B minus.
Yeah, it may have sat a comfortable B minus if they had done the price reveal in the showcase, because I feel like it's not a complete showcase if you're not revealing the price, and that does knock some points. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd say like in that C plus B minus range, somewhere in there.
One thing that I love about how we have set up this panel is that we started from the positive, we got kind of like the middle of the road, and I left the last for the spice. Rick, you had some choice words.
Yeah,
so definitely let it all out.
I did not think too highly of this direct. Nor the one, was it last week or what? Yeah. Or the week before, whatever
last
it was.
Week, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So a little bit of background. And I mentioned this to Alex, like leading into this, I was probably the world's number one, or not leading into this. In the past, I was probably the world's number one Nintendo hater. But I did really enjoy the Switch, actually. Even though it was a piece of crap hardware-wise, I actually still liked it. I liked the library. I liked the kind of modular aspect to it, all that. So I actually was excited for the Switch 2 info and stuff like that. And now, to be clear, I'm still not necessarily down on the hardware itself. I'm just down on everything around it, including what was in the show. I outside of Metroid, which we'd already seen, so I mean, I knew I'd be all into that because I love Metroid. I think Donkey Kong looks pretty good, and you guys are right that the third-party support does look to be there and looks to be at least okay. I mean, it's mostly obviously stuff that's not brand new, but I thought Nintendo themselves really dropped the ball, and frankly, I come into it expecting this, but they get worse and worse and worse with their obnoxious little cutesy crap. And I thought it was just out of control in this one, like much worse than usual. And it just drove me nuts.
The C button thing specifically.
The C button thing, and then I mean, obviously, it's just brain dead that they're charging for this, whatever it's called, the learn how to use your Switch too.
Oh yeah, we're gonna.
I mean, that is absolutely brain dead to charge for that. But the fact that they had to like, be like, oh hey, I'm, whatever the architect's name is, I'm such and such, and I'm inside the Switch now. Look, and like, I just thought that was so unbelievably obnoxious. And then, as I said to you, it cannot be overlooked how much they dropped the ball on the actual technical aspect of this stream. Not the device, the stream. The fact that the stream itself, first of all, was out of sync with the audio for 90% of it. And then it froze for a solid, what was it, 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
You missed, like, had I not known...
Enter the Gungeon 2,
had I not known the music of Final Fantasy Remake, I would have had no idea that's what that was. I was like... And same with Cyberpunk, like, obviously I don't remember who, because obviously it was on the audio, I don't remember who it was that was revealing it. I don't think it was Pavel, whatever his name is. But, I mean, obviously that gentleman is Polish, so he has a fairly thick Polish accent. If you didn't know what he was saying, you don't know what game just got announced. And it's like, this was not something that they were doing live on stage. This was a pre-recorded, because it had all the garbage to it that Nintendo loves to do, right? And they still flubbed this, and that is completely and utterly inexcusable for your console reveal. And I have to knock a solid like 20% off of my score because of that, because that's just inexcusable.
Yeah, you were like...
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. It was so funny because it was like around the time they were talking about Cyberpunk, they were still showing Civ 7. So I was like, man, Cyberpunk is looking really interesting with this.
And then when it came back, it looped back to Civ 7 again and went through it all the way forward. And it still never got back in sync with the audio. And it was like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Clearly somebody was not ready for the reveal.
Yeah, I was watching it with Brad. I was watching the watch along with Brad Ellis and his Twitch, and he was like constantly like refreshing both the Twitch stream and the YouTube. Because like, it's like, did something happen? Everyone on chat was like, no, it crashed for everyone. It was like, just chill. You're gonna like mess it up. But it was so funny because as what you were mentioning, Rick, this was a pre-recorded thing. This wasn't like a live presentation.
Yeah, if it was live,
is it like a YouTube problem? Was it like a YouTube issue? Did YouTube have a problem on their end? Or was it like actually Nintendo's video export? Like, did they botch it? I don't know.
Yeah, from what I understand, I think it was that they were getting so hammered by the concurrence of people like watching just that one stream that probably something happened. So
yeah, I saw 1.2 million when that when it crashed like that.
Yeah.
So was the Twitch one okay then? It was just on YouTube it did that?
Apparently frozen in Twitch like slowly because Maximilian Dude was watching it on Twitch, and I got to kind of see like his reaction, and he got to see everything kind of like on sync. So I think the YouTube one was the one that really got screwed.
Oh, okay.
There. So as for myself, kind of like where I am in the rarity, I think I'm more in the Dawn side of things, and kind of like where my rating kind of goes in. I thought it was fine, but especially for what I expect from like Nintendo. I would say that I did like some of the statement of intent that this had. Like, to me, the third party support, how they were shown, this really showed me all these third parties are desperate to be here. Like, everyone's desperate here. Like, even games that came out just a month ago, they want to be here now. It's like, we're so used to Nintendo always getting like the sloppy seconds, or maybe years down the line getting the impossible ports of trying to get games into the system, because kind of like what Don was saying, or I don't know who was that, it was like they're known as, I have my PlayStation 5 and my Series X and my Nintendo Switch. They were always kind of like that secondary system. And this was the first time that I'm like, I know that with me and Paul, we have our buddy Sebastian, that he has always like harped that Nintendo was always kind of treated it with kitty gloves, as like they're staying in their lane, they play in their lane, they do their weird stuff in their lane, and they don't get criticized for it. And obviously because it was like they were catering for different audiences. This is the first time that I saw them be like, oh no, they really want to play. Like, Split Fiction just came out like 3 weeks ago. They want to have this game like there, and they're gonna launch day and day like games like Tony Hawk and other games are from third parties. So I'm like, okay, so they finally delivered. At least it's gonna be like the lower side of powerful hardware to be able to at least give you those kinds of games that obviously are possible since we live in the era of the Steam Deck. So you kind of know there's already kind of versions that are kind of like downgraded a little bit to be able to run it. You can kind of imagine like the Switch exists like around that area, just slightly above, to kind of release everything next to each other. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. I was like, cool, but now it puts you now in direct competition with the other ones, and you're not gonna be treated differently anymore. And the moves that they're kind of doing, especially the things that broke after we were starting to show with how they're gonna price their games and all of that, is like, it feels like, and I know Rick had this fear. I was chatting with you today that it just feels that it feels like Nintendo, like emboldened by the massive success of the Switch, is taking the industry now and giving go ahead to the industry to be more expensive than it is. Obviously, kind of dealing with the fact that yes, there's inflation happening. Obviously, like right now, Joe, he just linked to me in our document here that breaking news that apparently like the tariffs that were supposed to happen today are gonna also hit the production of the Switch because they're gonna tariff Vietnam, which is where Nintendo moved the production of the Switch.
Tariffing the entire world, a flat 10% tariff across the globe.
Yes,
was what was announced today, and then there was a whole chart of like reciprocal tariffs, but I think China's 54%, Vietnam is 46%. Like it's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah. And it just feels that now they're gonna like put the cost of the tariffs on the consumer, like $80 games.
So economically speaking, I'm no economist, but technically speaking, the goal of tariffs is to bring the cost and the manufacturing back inside. So this is a gamble. Like this is a dice roll by the government to say, no, you know what? We're tired of you guys building things overseas. We're gonna just tariff everything and you guys bring it all back here. That's the hope. That is the play. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but it's going to hurt in the long run, or in the short run. It's going to be economically painful for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, when have video games ever been built in the US? That's kind of like the thing, like them trying to tariff everyone. I understand tariffs in specific like markets, but a flat tariff is going to like, oof. I kind of start understanding kind of where Nintendo's coming from, and I feel the one that ends up losing is us, the consumer.
The thing is, these tariffs weren't announced. Like, we did not know that these Vietnam tariffs, as far as I know, were coming. Nintendo would not have been able to, factor that in. So I would not be entirely surprised if they jacked the price up pretty quickly.
So actually, like, because I listen to other podcasts that kind of been doing some digging, there were some of these companies that what they've been doing, like for example, Sony. Apparently, before these tariffs, they started shipping so many systems into the US for them to be in the US.
I believe it.
To kind of like prevent like the import tariffs. And the thing with Nintendo, and a lot of them were always built in China. So for them to kind of move, because that's cheaper labor, that's where you can build it for cheaper, and then you send it over. They started moving production away from China because they were being very vocal of, oh yeah, we're gonna tariff China with everything. So it's like, oh, let's move it away. But now we got the flat tariff with everyone.
Yeah.
Why?
Again, the reason why is it's the dice roll. It's the long-term play of let's bring the manufacturing of everything back in-house. Let's not rely on the world any longer. Like that is the play. Whether it works or not, I'm not an economist. I can't say whether that would be a good idea or a bad idea, but that is the play to bring manufacturing of everything in country, which okay, like if that's the plan, then let's hope it works because it's gonna suck for the short term for sure.
Yeah, and in the short term right now, it's like it makes let's just say like how Nintendo's tackling it right now, it makes it very a hard pill to swallow after a showcase that I liked some of the games that were shown here, but it's like then when you kind of see like the overall picture, it's like it just felt like a monkey spot. There were things in this direct for me that was like Paul knows one thing that I literally jumped out of my bed and screamed yes when it happened.
I sensed it from where I was.
Yeah, because he knows, like we've been like waiting for that to happen. Even like, but just again, like the stupid life of being a old Nintendo fan that loves their old stuff and want to play like in hardware that's modern instead of having to plug in like decrepit Wii's that don't even read disk drives anymore. And then even some of like the other stuff, I was like, oh, that's cool that they're doing that kind of game. But obviously, like, considering how long we're waiting for this showcase, like and to Joe's point, like you would think that they would have more first party stuff kind of like ready, considering they have been like, especially after Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, you knew that they were ramping down. So you're like, okay, if they're ramping down, they're giving themselves 2 years to ramp down. Then it means they're gonna be like fully stocked up, like how it was with the Switch back in 2017. And at least just with what's announced right now, the first year of the Switch 2 is not looking as robust, though there's still good stuff there. So overall, that's why I feel like it's just I enjoyed it fine, but I wasn't blown away either. But a lot of the moves that are doing are like, I want to hammer you harder for like some of these choices. So that's kind of why I feel more like in the middle in this case. Though I did
you know what's wild about what you were just saying about the first year? Not a new mainline Mario game announced, which is almost unheard of. Not necessarily dated, but still not even announced. You would typically have it announced
They better have one coming or my fantasy team is screwed.
Yes. And here's what's funny. back in 2019, I remember this because our old friend PJ, whatchamacallit, like he was the one that, or they were the one that told me that there was this rumor that the Mario Odyssey team was working on a Donkey Kong game. That was 2019. I literally was talking with someone else, like in other chats, was like, what happened to that game? It's like, was that just like vaporware rumors? And then when you look at Donkey Kong Bonanza, however it's called, at first I thought that was Odyssey because there's so much in the visual style of that game. I was like,
I called it though. I said Donkey Kong. Yeah, I saw the minecart.
Yeah, when you saw the minecart, I was like, oh my god, that rumor that happened like almost 6 years ago ended up being true. And now I'm scared because I'm like, did they have two teams? Was this really the Odyssey team? Where's the 3D Mario then? Like that's kind of like where my mind starts going, kind of like in terror, because like, damn, it's gonna be even longer in between 3D Mario games. But yeah, that's like just those are my high level thoughts. We're gonna kind of go just point by point some of the things that were kind of like said here in the show, because we're gonna use BGC's like their direct news roundup. So if you follow there, they have it kind of like as headlines. So we're gonna be reading some headlines as one by one. So obviously, the big thing, Nintendo Switch 2 release date confirmed and the price confirmed. So obviously the price is $450 if you're just buying the system, and it's $500 if you get it bundled in with Mario Kart World, which is the first game that we saw running in the system back in January, and the first one that they spent a lot of time showing you here. That's looking really big. Real quick, what do you guys think of this the Mario Kart game? Just spitballing.
I mean, it looks cool.
My answer's
Yeah.
It's a Mario Kart paradise, compared to Burnout Paradise. I realized that was probably too generic of a word. But I really like the concept. I mean, Forza's been doing it for a decade at least. It was about time Mario Kart jumped in there and was like, you can drive anywhere. So a lot of it didn't really like move the needle a whole lot for me, but at the same time, it means more variety, a lot more options for racetracks potentially. I did like the rail grinding stuff and like the jumping from fences, which my biggest thing is like Mario has played the same for a pretty long time now, and I was kind of hoping for something different. And even like the transforming into a water vehicle or a jet, I was like, all right, whatever. But there's a few things in there that actually had me curious, and it's going to be one of those things I'm going to play for like a week and then not touch until I have like a house gathering. But that house gathering is going to be very fun.
Yes, or your kid grows up and he starts playing more
That
games.
is the other thing that's going to happen.
Yeah. So can you believe it's been 11 years in between Mario Kart games?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, because 8's been getting all the updates on Switch and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and Wii U, it was a Wii U game, the biggest Wii U game, ironically. It's
Yeah.
That was what I meant, is they ported it to Switch and then have just supported it from there. So yeah.
Mhm.
I never owned a Mario Kart game, so like I don't own 8 Deluxe. I never had a Wii U. I never bought any of the Switch or the Wii Mario Kart, whatever that was. I don't even know.
Mhm.
So I don't have too much of a perspective on the length of time, but Mario Kart's like a fun game to play. But I've always my understanding of Mario Kart is you can always come back and win because you are just gifted the items to like come back and win at the end of the race if you are in last place.
It's infuriating.
And so that just
the epitome of communism,
Well, that's so, that just completely eliminates any appeal that game has for me to play in general. Like if it's not actually a competition, why am I going to play a competitive game like that? Like I don't have enough people that play games in life to be like, yeah, let's play Mario Kart together where we're not really playing, it's just whoever's in last place can win.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't appeal to me personally. I liked the look of the game because it looked really cool, and I liked the opening up of it, and maybe they'll take out that stupid feature of it. But I thought that it was a clear and obvious way to open because it is the best-selling Switch game, so it made sense to open the showcase for the Switch 2 with
67 million copies sold of Mario Kart 8. That's like 1 and 2 of every Switch owner owning it. So obviously it's the reason why they're pushing it. They know that this is the system seller, like for many people. Not for me. I like Mario Kart, but I know a lot of people love that. My sister loves Mario Kart. She and her husband love playing and competing and tearing each other apart over who does the blue shell at the end. So it's like so that's always like a Mario Kart thing. So this look cool. as the one big game to get it launched, not really for me, but I like it as like a compliment. And to your point, Joe, it's not much about competing, but playing it like in a group with a group of friends where you're just like screaming at each other, just kind of having fun and screwing each other like around. It's like that's kind of like the magic of Mario Kart, and I want to see if that translates to a bigger, a more expensive game with this one. So this is gonna be like at the launch of the system, which you can get both as a bundled in for $500, and if you want to buy it alone, if you kind of want to go for the cheaper route, like a normal, like reasonable person wants to, it's gonna cost you $80 in the United States digitally, and probably $90 for physical people. Which, Rick, you're
potentially.
A
Nintendo's been extremely quiet on all of this. We don't really know exactly what any of the pricing is going to be to exact levels that we would like to, but what we've heard in the rumors and what's been shown on certain websites and what has been reported is disgusting.
Yes. Especially for the physical. They're really trying to push it more to the digital. That's like gross. Like, especially
which makes sense because the Switch should be a digital machine for people because it's portable. That's the whole point. That's the one machine that you might want to be digital, unlike other consoles. I do not understand the people who want physical Switch games because that defeats the whole purpose of being able to carry your machine with you. But I know I'm apparently alone in that island somehow.
Yeah. You're gonna say, Rick?
I can counteract that.
Yes.
Because while I agree with what you're saying there, Don, Nintendo is the last company I want to buy anything digitally from because I do not trust them whatsoever to honor that library for more than another 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So there is my pushback on that.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with the perspective there. That's part of the reason I buy my games physically anyway for my consoles, and I really don't buy that many Switch games to buy digitally anyway. But so I agree with you in theory there for sure.
Just the premise of the Switch.
The insistence that people have on, oh, I buy all my PlayStation games and PC games digital, but my Switch games have to be physical because, like, I just don't get that incredible insistence. To me, it's like you're either a digital kind of person or you're a physical kind of person, or in the Switch's case, it's meant to be portable, so why carry a bunch of games with you?
So, just to kind of provide a tiny counter to that, the thing with Nintendo Switch cartridges is that all those games, at least before now, what we learned from Switch 2, a lot of those cartridges where the entire game was just put that thing into the system, you start playing immediately. You don't need to install or anything. It was like
I would also like to push back because the person that Joe described as not existing is exactly me.
Yeah.
Because I download all of my games for all of the other companies, and I have all cartridges. I think there's exactly 2 digital games that I own for my Switch. Because
but why, Paul? That's what I don't understand. Why?
I can exactly give you that answer because there's more than one Switch in my house.
Yeah.
And you can share those suckers.
You can share the digital games too.
She doesn't play any of that.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yes.
Everybody else that doesn't just do a lot of gaming usually still has one Switch with a few games on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually like Mario Kart, Smash, and or Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So it is much more likely for those kinds of people to need and or want to trade games with one another.
Yeah.
Not so at all with all the others.
But if you just log into the console, you don't need to trade games. You can just have people play on your account. Like my
not if
girlfriend
you're playing at the same time.
No, not if you're playing at the same time. That's correct. Yeah, obviously not if you're playing at the same time. But you can't play one copy of the physical game at the same time on 2 machines either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's much easier to, instead of having to download one or having to switch online, like the online primaries here and there, because in the Switch is much more complicated than on PlayStation.
The people that play that kind of game literally want you to hand them a little chip to say, here you go, and then all you have to do is slot it in and then play the game on your account. They don't want to log into your account. They don't want to do all the extra stuff. They don't want to have to download the game through the eShop, which is horrible, onto their system, which also only has 32 gigabytes of hard drive space. You can't do jack crap on that thing unless you have a chip.
And then with the cartridges, you don't have to install anything. It doesn't use any of the space of the internal space if you have the cartridges of the Switch. Which unfortunately for Switch 2, they announced that there's gonna be many cards that then you have to download the whole game to play. Kind of like what's happening with a lot of physical games that
just immediately throwing all of this out the window now. Because it's like, well, what the heck if you're gonna give us the chips now and then you can't download the thing on there, which I mean, like, let's be real, I don't think anybody expected them to be able to, because if we're really doing the third party thing, that's like games that are 80-90 gigs, and there's
Cyberpunk is all on little thing. It's all on
Mhm.
Maybe Cyberpunk can pull it off, but I don't think most of the others will.
64
because
gigabytes all on
they're
one
just
thing is what it says.
Mhm.
But Bravely
impossible to
Default
beat.
is on a digital little chip thing.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That's 11.
Bravely Default is one of the ones where it's not on the disc on the cart.
Which
Yeah, and it's-
that's where I was more getting at the poor optimization of the developers than anything else, because most people just seem to not be capable of pulling off the wizardry that's required. I mean, we have the Xenoblade process, which how much was it? I think it was 10 gigs
Yeah, 18.
for that huge map and no loading and all that. But then you get anything else that's even just the tiniest game ever, and it's like, no, that's 50 gigabytes. No way we can compress that down.
How many Call of Duties are you going to be able to install on the Switch
Yeah,
too?
exactly.
Yeah.
0. That's how many. 0.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And supposedly this is the system that will start getting Call of Duties per like the
Mm-hmm.
contract they signed to get
Yeah.
Activision.
So it's either we're going to have to get severely limited hardware, software. We're going to have a different build, or we're going to have to they expect us to buy chips to increase the storage capacity, which means that their choice of not allowing regular SIM cards or SD cards, is a very conscious decision.
Yeah, and now microchip. You need the micro SDs for memory for this.
You need micro XD like
Express.
Thank you. Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say it's like a faster reading one.
Which is more expensive. So everything keeps getting pricier with this thing. So yeah. So obviously I already mentioned the price, especially with the double price. If you kind of want to get Mario Kart, they have confirmed too that there's gonna be. So far, there are 46 third-party games confirmed for Switch 2, with 17 coming on launch day. Obviously, this is just like the preliminary. This is what we're working in right now, and we still have the rest of the year to kind of fill up. That's still a statement of intent that back in the day, I think there were only like 7 third parties at launch, like even announced back in the Switch 1. It kind of tells you how much people really are like all in on this machine.
Shoot, if you compare that to the other big names, 17 launch day titles is kind of crazy. Because usually it's like 6.
Yeah, but it's 17 launch day titles of games that are already available elsewhere. That's the thing. It's not like they're new games.
Let's say like half of them probably. So that is about like 7.
Yeah, that is appealing for the people that are just somehow in Nintendo. I know there's people that are just like that, so it is for them. But obviously not exciting for us that we played a lot of these and also more powerful hardware. But at least just a statement of intent. Again, just like okay. People are gonna put games here. If you want to stay just on Nintendo, it feels like you will be able to kind of go by, get by just in third parties. So
I am a little worried this is just going to be another Wii U situation.
If it fails,
that's what I'm starting to think. Yeah,
or like a Vita thing, where it's like, I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to crash nearly as bad as the Vita did, but I do worry that this is going to be like, oh, we're going to compete with all the best ones out there, but that also means that you're operating on. Your statement of intent is entering the ring with 2 megaton bombs, and you have 10-plus-year-old hardware on your system, which is great when you're portable. But if you're trying to compete with all of those other people and say, hey, you should buy your Borderlands 4 with us and not your extremely more powerful hardware that's already sitting on your couch or whatever. I do worry about all of that, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially if it doesn't do numbers, because just as quickly as people wanted to support the Wii U originally, they left it in the dust like super quick too. So who knows if it can happen? I know they have momentum right now on their side, but you never know like how the market will react to very greedy price, like the greed in display. So other headline: Switch 2's mysterious C button is used for game chat. So this is kind of like what Rick was mentioned. They spent like a good 10 minutes.
Welcome to 2008, guys.
I love that even Jeff Keighley, who loves to suck the toes of everyone, was like, oh, wow, we invented Discord, guys. This is a fantastic job.
Yeah, by the way, just as an aside, I like how salty Keighley has been towards Nintendo stuff, because they snubbed him from the preview. Like from the preview that's happening tomorrow for the people that kind of signed up to go try the system.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he signed up, but the thirsty girl, like Aru, she was the one that got in.
Yeah, the one that we've discussed in the past.
Yeah, there's
this random girl on Twitter that has a lot of followers. She's really funny, honestly, but her shtick is thirsting over video game men sometimes.
Oh, really?
Very funny.
Yeah,
I will give her that.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, Deputy Aru.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's also
But-
one of the biggest Aerith fans that exists, like
Mhm.
kind of like in Final
Good
Fantasy.
mob up then.
fandom.
All that is to say, she got accepted to the thing, and Jeff Keighley
Right.
did not. And
Yeah.
Jeff Salty put up a big old screenshot about it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, it's still so funny. I keep saying that this is like the Nintendo, like the long con spite from Nintendo that they had to say wrap it up to Eiji Onuma 2 years ago at the Game Awards. Nintendo don't forget that that they had Onuma have to walk out of the stage after 30 seconds. So they come another headline: Switch 2 will have mouse controls. Nintendo finally confirmed. So obviously, if you were watching the reveal back in January, they kind of showed how you could like flip the Joy-Con to that it looked like a mouse, but it wasn't really confirmed. This was the time that they confirmed, and you could see it in use in games like Metroid Prime 4 and that drag and what's the frick was called that like weird sport game that everyone was calling legs.
The wheelchair one or whatever.
Drag something.
Yeah, Drag and Drive, I think it was called.
Yeah, that's right. Not to derail us, but I want to say Jeff Keighley has literally 10 times the followers of that Aru girl.
Yeah, that's what's so funny.
Exactly.
And Aru got in, and
he's got 1.5 million. She's got 134,000.
Yes.
So that makes a difference. Funny. She is funny.
Yeah, she is.
Anyway, I'm just being salty for no reason.
I know, but hey, Jeff sometimes deserves that. I mean, even he let himself be roasted by the Muppets. And,
fair enough.
So he knows he's not funny, but
it only took him like a year.
Yeah. So another hardware news: Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller announced, featuring multiple new buttons. So funny enough, this is like the first official like Nintendo controller that comes with like the back buttons. Obviously, you could get Pro controllers with back buttons that were not Nintendo, like the official ones. I have one that's Mario themed that's like the back buttons, but this one also includes it. So I didn't really see it when you're holding the Joy-Con had another button down there, but I find it interesting that now they're fully supporting that. Obviously, if you want that on PlayStation or on Xbox, you buy the Pro controllers there. So how much will it cost? How much was the Pro controller before?
They announced the price already.
Okay.
They said it was 85, I think.
Okay, so
a lot less than other Pro controllers.
Either 80 or 85. Mm-hmm. I don't remember which one.
So it's just like not too much inflated, because I think the original Pro controller was like 70 or 80.
It was 70, yeah.
Okay, yeah. If I get a Switch 2, I will get this one. I like playing with the Pro controller when I'm like not holding it in handheld mode. So then a couple games.
Does anybody else's Pro controllers not have a headphone jack, by the way?
Yeah, mine doesn't have either. So
that frustrates the hell out of me.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Yeah. You don't play with headphones, Joe? Like at all?
Not usually, no.
Yeah. I have the exact same one that Rick has, and mine doesn't have it either.
I literally either have to play in handheld mode or I have to just play silently if I'm playing my Switch.
I've been playing KCD 2 because I have the Maxwell Odyssey Maxwell here, fancy headphones at the computer. I have been playing KCD 2 with them, but generally speaking, if I'm sitting on the couch, I don't like headphones. I like my head free.
Yeah, depends on the game. There's some games that really get enhanced with like with headphones. Yo, I have good things to say about Horizon. I love how that game sounds in headphones. Like I think
that game has amazing headphones.
Amazing sound. Yeah. So Last of Us 2, another excellent one, even though scary. So it's like the 3D. They're like if games use 3D audio, which they confirmed the Switch will do 3D audio now. It's like I can wait to see how that enhances it for people who like headphones. So Elden Ring is coming to Nintendo Switch 2, and obviously a lot of people. Here's what's so funny, because my eyes didn't see much difference, but I heard a lot of people were like, "Oh, this looks severely downgraded." I'm like,
I didn't see the difference, but
I thought it looked way worse. Actually, I'm surprised you.
Thank you.
I was not paying attention
Joe said
very
the same.
much.
Yeah.
Once I saw that Elden Ring was there, I was like, "Cool, Elden Ring's there," and then I completely like checked out because I'm not gonna go buy Elden Ring a second time. That's just not happening.
I literally said, Rick, I literally said that it looks decidedly worse.
Oh, it absolutely did. Like I mean, same thing, Paul. I'm definitely not gonna get it there either. But as soon as I saw that, I was just like, well, I guess it's good that they get it. But man, those textures are really muddy. On
it kind of looked like a cartoon.
Yeah.
When I saw it was literally the second to last shot, I think, when it was like the character running through the field or whatever, like on foot. And I was like, oh, this kind of looks like a cartoon right now. Oh, this is...
Yeah, to me, it's because Elden Ring always looked very like picturesque and like in its art style. That's why I didn't register that it looked that worse. But hey, enough people had said it that I was like, okay, my eyes are messing me up here, so I'll defer to that. I just found it funny because Joe did say that it looked like decidedly worse.
Yeah, I thought so too. Actually, as soon as I saw it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Alec.
But hey, Elden Ring on a Switch, like for people that still somehow have not played that and want to take it on the go, like if you don't want to get it on Steam Deck, that it kind of performs really iffy there. It's like if they optimize it well, that's a good get there, especially for a system that already has trained people to get big open world games like in handheld mode with the Zelda games. So
well, that's funny that you think FromSoft can possibly optimize anything.
I know,
for anything. So that's not going to happen. I can promise you that.
Exactly.
but I did want to say, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I just happened to see it on Push Square. So I know they called this the Tarnished Edition, and I assumed that meant it came with Shadow of the Erdtree, which it does. Yeah. But it also has some additional like cosmetic stuff. They did confirm that
probably a
Link
stuff is outfit.
Oh well, I guess you could change Torrents.
I was making a joke because they like to put Link outfits in things like Skyrim.
That would be kind of nice, actually.
I was just gonna say they did confirm that actually the that additional cosmetic stuff is being released in a patch for the other consoles too.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
That's cool for us that already played this like 3 years ago. So.
I don't want to restart that game.
Yeah.
Haven't even touched
it. Do it once.
Yeah.
It's sitting over there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, and Joe keeps saying that he specifically bought it used to not give money to From Software because he saw.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
It was not to not give money. Specifically, it was to not increase the sales numbers. It's the same reason that Jing's Switch is a used Switch, because I don't want to increase the sales numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. You look at the power of spiteful.
I'm spiteful.
I was about to say, man, you really taking that single tick down. You're really putting it to the man, let me tell you.
I am the kind of person who believes that every vote counts. Yeah. So
I can appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I haven't even decided what I'm going to do about the Switch 2 yet, but maybe I'll wait for that to be used too and get it for $10 off or whatever. Who knows? We'll see.
Just for $10. Hey, you got to be a smart consumer. Then two backwards compatibility headlines here in two separate ways. So Metroid Prime 4, the two Zeldas and Pokemon are getting enhanced Switch 2 edition. So obviously like this kind of like getting a native Switch 2 version of like these games that they're going to include a lot of the improvements that are going to come with the Switch, where it will be able to output at 4K, run at 60 frames, have HDR. They singled out 6 games that are going to be sold standalone physically if you want, or if you already own them, especially digitally. They said you're going to do kind of like what PlayStation does with kind of like pay extra amount to get kind of like,
but we don't know how much.
Exactly.
We don't know how much.
Yeah. And I think I was like, mark my words, this is going to be like 20 or 30.
It's going to be 20 or 25, I'd be willing to bet. Yep.
Yes. That's what they're going to do, because that's the Nintendo tax is always more expensive than you want. So me, that I'm a weak individual here, I will pay that for the Zelda games. I want like, if I get the Switch 2, I kind of want to play both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like running like at 60 frames, and kind of like the art style of that game with HDR, I feel is going to look beautiful, especially because
I don't know if they could get me for a game that's already out, but I think Zelda is the mainline Zelda is the only thing that could get me to pay more. But I don't think there's hardly anything else. There might be like stuff on one hand that would get me.
Yeah. Pokemon CA. Wait, at least we know there's gonna be a version that will not run like other dog crap. Hopefully.
In theory.
In theory.
Now it'll run at an unsteady 30 instead of an unsteady 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Though they did show it running at 60, so I'm like, okay, cool. At least the intent is there. But I would say the one that I for sure will want to get like the enhancement is Metroid Prime 4, that they confirmed that it's going to run at 4K 60 or 1080p 120. And since they already kind of put in the screen in handheld mode, it's going to have 120 hertz. Like you don't even need your TV. You could play it at 120 like in that.
Yeah, and that part's kind of crazy.
Yeah. They also confirmed it's not 4K 120 on the TV ever. They don't have that capability.
No,
so
it's just
for
4K
people,
60.
No.
Yeah, so I'm guessing, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a technical limitation of the Switch 2 or if it's an HDMI. They didn't put an HDMI 2.1 in there. Like it's one of those two things.
Because most things, like on my PS5, even it's either like 4K 30 or 60 and
1080p 120, because you have a 120 hertz.
Yeah, but you can get that like 4K 40 frames thing. Which is
I was about
nice.
to say, I do wonder if that means it's VRR, especially handheld. I assume it does when it's handheld too, and that might be a sticking point right there.
Yeah, but I would have to say that they're the first like official like portable one that's gonna do the 120, because I know the Steam Deck caps at 90. The 90 hertz is kind of like the display.
The Steam Deck OLED caps at 120, I think.
Okay. I didn't know they already like
the old one was at 90, but I think the OLED is 120.
Yeah, but it's so cool. It's wild. It was wild seeing it in a Nintendo showcase, 1080p, 120 frames. Because like we're coming from games that were running at 10 frames, and now you have a system that can go all the way to 120. That feels like a leap. But we'll see how much they get it. But Metroid Prime is the series that maximizes tech for Nintendo. It's always been like that, going all the way back to GameCube. So that will be a good showcase for how they're gonna handle like the 4K output. And I do like that they confirm 1440p and 4K output if you have the dock. So I'm like, cool, because the Switch launched right when 4K TVs were becoming a thing, but they capped it at 1080p. That's why when you play on a big ass TV, it looks grimy as hell, unless it's like a smaller one. Paul plays on a monitor, so he doesn't suffer the kind of like shimmery artifact of the 1080p.
Paul doesn't even play on a monitor; he just plays in the handheld mode.
I switch between handheld mode and my monitor, but that's when I play silently. But either way, playing on a monitor has been really nice. It's like you're working out with weights on, and then whenever you finally do get to play on like a big TV, it's like it's the greatest experience ever, instead of just getting tired of it and then everything else looks horrible.
I always feel that way when I go visit my parents for a stretch of time, like a week or 2 weeks or whatever around holidays. I bring my console, and normally I have it set up in the bedroom upstairs in like the room that I sleep in, which has like a 40-inch, no, it's a 4K TV, but it's like a 40-inch. And then I would go home to my 77-inch, and I'd be like, "Oh right, yeah, this is nice."
But to be fair, like a 4K and like a 40, the image is like squeaky clean because of no.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
it's for me. It's not the quality of the image; it's the size of the screen. Because it feels so small compared to like the big 77 that I have, or here the 65, that sort of thing. So
yeah, it's still 77 feels so nice. How big is your TV, Rick? The one you play?
The one that I use. Bear in mind though, it's right here. I sit this far from it. Like I can touch it from where I'm sitting. But it's a 43 because I'm kind of limited on space there. I have two TVs next to each other. So. Again,
like depending on your space, like at 43 could look big.
I mean, I'm literally 2 feet from it. So
yeah, I mean, I have a 30. My monitor is a 32-inch monitor, and it's it's like this big here. Like it's huge. It's enormous in front of me. Playing KCD2 on this screen is just like right there, especially because my rig is enough that I literally have been running the game at 4K 60 with no upscaling, no like nothing. It's just powering through the entire game, and it has drops into like the 50s on occasion, but it's been running so smoothly with all the the VRR and all that coming just like straight at me, and a lot of times it's higher than 60 because of the quality of the monitor and everything. But yeah, it's like just this big immersive thing right here with that because of the way the setup is.
Yeah.
Speaking of, everyone should buy all of their electronics now before
before they kick in now. It's
oh my god.
And in other backwards compatibility news, they also confirmed that other than the Switch 2 enhancements, there's gonna be a couple games, at least an initial batch, that will get those free patches that are gonna like improve some games or like give them some extra functionality. I don't expect these to get like big bumps compared to like the actual Switch 2 editions of the games.
Scarlet and Violet's getting one.
Yeah, that one at least will make Scarlet and Violet finally a functional video game because it never got fixed from what I understood. In fact,
I'm not gonna lie. Part of my thought process on buying a Switch 2 is, do I actually want to play Scarlet and Violet at some point in time, because I don't want to play it on the current Switch.
Yeah, that was like utter
I don't think
like
you're
garbage.
missing much if you just skip Scarlet and Violet, frankly.
But I already own it. I already own them is the problem, Paul. I bought them already.
Give it back. Get that curse out of your house, man.
But I also, I mean, I've got Fireblade, if not Fireblade, Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because I want to play. I was thinking Xenoblade that I want to play as well at some point. Yeah. So I've got. That's really the worst part of all of this, is that so many Switch games that I do own that I haven't played because the Switch is just so terrible. I was like, I think I want to wait and get a Switch 2 to play them, and then they come in with their Switch 2 information and their prices and all that. And I'm like,
yeah, it makes you think. Yeah, it's not like an impulse buy, and especially here in the list of games that are gonna get dispatched, which is like 15 of them. So I'm gonna read them real quick. It's gonna be ARMS, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, and Echoes of Wisdom. Which, parenthesis with that, those games run like utter crap. It's like if you're standing still, it runs like 60, and then you, as soon as start moving, it drops like at 20 frames. So like if that like locks it in, it's like that's gonna be good enough. But and parenthesis, Game Builder Garage, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Big Brain Academy Brain versus Brain. The thing is that there's a couple of games here. I'm like, why are those getting patched? Like Game Builder Garage, like Big Brain Academy Brain.
Arms? Why is Arms getting patched?
It already runs well, unless
no one likes Arms.
I thought they forgot Arms existed.
Exactly.
They should have. No one liked it.
Yeah, that game was terrible.
Yeah, and
I love the concept. I will be honest.
Yeah, but it got forgotten really quick until it got added as a meme in Smash. And Mario Odyssey, I'm like, that game runs perfectly at 60. It runs like the resolution, like you see it at times, like because it has dynamic rest. Maybe it just stabilizes the rest. That's a pretty game.
That's my guess. That and maybe some slightly higher texture detail will be what you're looking at.
Yeah, and but I feel the big wins here are the 2 Zelda games, because those are the weird ones that are like, it's a chibi looking game, it's top down, why does it not run well? So especially if you know, I know Rick, you're like a very stickler to like inconsistency in frame rate. Those games will give you like
I'll take a steady 30 over an inconsistent 50 to 60 any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Yeah. And me and Paul, we had been talking about that there were a few games that people went into the files like within the last 2 years, which was Paper Mario, 1000 Year Door, and Xenoblade, where they found kind of like performance modes in the files that everyone was like, why is this here? And everyone was like, oh, because of backwards compatibility for a better hardware that's gonna include it. Shocked that they were not in this list, but I feel this is gonna be a list that's gonna keep expanding. Right now, this is just kind of bad. I'll reserve judgment for that. But again, they're doing not too different of having free patches somewhere and paid upgrades.
It's also only first party too, so we don't even know what any third party games are doing. You might see some more there too.
Yeah, exactly. So the most exciting for me announcement of this show, GameCube is officially coming to Switch Online exclusively for Switch 2. Why was that exciting? Because I've been like this in this show, it's been a meme how I've been wanting both the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess in a modern hardware. I like Zelda a lot. And Paul remembers we woke up at 6 a.m. one day to react to the September 2022 Direct when Jeff Grubb told us those games were going to be announced, and we kind of wanted to catch our reaction live, and they didn't. And since then, I stopped watching Nintendo Directs in the morning until this one because I was so bitter. They announced Tears of the Kingdom, and we felt nothing. Remember, because we were so salty.
Yep. Oh, we were so mad we didn't even care.
Yeah.
I can't believe they have not ported the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to the Switch. Yeah. I can't. It makes zero sense. Just like, why is Mario Galaxy 2 not on the Switch?
Thank you. Like, why?
Like that is the most Nintendo nonsense of all time.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm starting to think is gonna happen because remember that they did that pack for 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy for like a year, and then they delisted it.
Yeah.
And
that was also the most Nintendo thing of all time.
Exactly, putting the Disney Vault kind of like limited edition, and then take it away from the market. Though you can buy it like in the kind of like in eBay and all of that. But Sunshine isn't the GameCube thing. N64 was when they added N64 games. They added Mario 64 there. So I'm like, are we getting Wii games too? Like, is that what they're gonna do? They're gonna eventually add that in, and that's how we get Mario Galaxy 2 because they kind of want to, instead of selling you, get you by the balls in the Switch Online. This wasn't exciting.
I mean, it's gonna take them so much work to refit all the Wii games. I wonder if they want to get the extra money by selling it back to you. But then the other side is the subscription model is just such a money printing factory that honestly I'm really upset about that side of it because we've wanted it so much, and like even the second I saw Wind Waker under like the tab of Nintendo Online stuff, I let out like a sigh of disappointment instead of the excitement and joy I should have felt for all of these years, because
Monkey's Paw.
I have to spend more money on a subscription thing to be able to play the game for a little bit of time, and then the second I don't want it, it ceases to exist. And God forbid, what if they ever just get rid of the Nintendo Online subscription model entirely? All of that's gone forever.
Yeah,
it's just I just sit here as that one meme of the man with like the half transparency just kind of staring off into the distance because I'm just so tired of it all now. I'm not rich enough to really enjoy this hobby much longer. I don't have the time to enjoy this hobby the way I really want to. What is the point anymore?
I feel you on that one, especially
the future.
Yeah, and the thing that annoys me the most is that we know that the HD version they put out on Wii is improved.
It exists. It's the same UI.
Yeah.
Just throw it over there, except they're putting in the old one with the old UI. Yeah. No improvements. What?
And-
It's right there.
Yeah,
Just-
and with
just
with
put
the
it in.
and with the complete Triforce quest, the one that they had to put in because they put in they couldn't finish 2 dungeons. So it's like we're getting the worst version. So that's why there was like a bittersweet. It's finally here, and it's this one, but it's finally here. It's like I feel the weight has been lifted, but I don't feel like
I don't
super.
feel the weight. That's
Yeah,
lifted.
Yeah, it's like you feel like you're still halfway through the wave with that one. But there's other GameCube games that they're gonna put there. I'm like, I'm glad they're gonna be there. We just mentioned one's gonna be there. Chibi Robo, I saw there. Wasn't a Fire Emblem game there too?
Fire
Yeah.
Emblem Path of Radiance, what
Yes.
a lot of people consider as one of the best ones.
I feel
Pokemon.
I feel GameCube has a very underrated library for Nintendo, and I feel a lot of people are really feeling that. Like whenever
Pokemon.
they're releasing, so Pokemon
Which
Coliseum,
Pokemon, Joe?
What was
Pokemon
that?
Coliseum.
Which Pokemon did they say they were putting?
I think it's Coliseum. I think Gale of Darkness
Yeah,
is on
it
there
was.
too. I think both of
Okay.
them were.
I mean,
Yeah, so-
Coliseum was all right. I had it, but
what was the
Yeah.
other DX? I think Pokemon DX or I don't
Gale
know.
of Darkness.
Yeah,
I
Veil of
think.
Darkness. So.
I think
There's a
I think I saw both of them on the list. I might be mistaken.
And there's many games that they can still like kind of put in. Like
If they ever add Metroid Prime 2, this suckerfish is going to be right caught on that on that hook. I can tell you that right now.
yeah, because it's a GameCube.
no
game,
one
it's
is
gonna be there.
immune to propaganda or
Exactly.
Nintendo remakes.
Yeah, it always takes one. To me, it was Wind Waker, but it's like again the weight of knowing that there was a better version. But whenever Twilight Princess gets there, the GameCube version of that game was the better version compared to the Wii version. So it's like whenever that one gets there, I know that's how we're gonna get it. And then the entire Zelda collection will be under one system finally. But then we're gonna be missing is Galaxy 2. Crossing fingers for the 40th anniversary for that one.
Well,
Don't
must be
forget
nice.
the-
As a Metroid fan, you still need 500 different consoles to collect each one.
Yeah, they're still slowly filling it up. It's
Don't
like-
forget the GameCube controller too that is
Mhm.
available.
Oh yeah, because there was already one that you could get for the Switch. They're doing another one, but that's gonna be for Switch 2, including like with the C button for their Discord mode. If you would still
Actually, I
want
used
to
to
buy
own a lot of those. It was the USB
Mhm.
GameCube controllers. I
Yeah,
had
I
like
was about to say I thought
five.
it was a wired one, whereas this is
Just-
wireless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're doing the waiver with that, like the fat thing at the bottom, so it's gonna be a much more comfortable waiver to kind of handle if you want. Then other quick headlines: Street Fighter 6 coming to Switch 2 with new amiibo. So this was kind of part of the bonanza of third-party games that were kind of like being shown there, including Borderlands 4, Civ 7, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade Part 1. It's gonna be coming to Switch. So it's like a lot of like representation happening here. They saved like the big third-party announcement for last that rocked the world initially before like some news started coming about it was from software. So,
That was quite the roller coaster to
Yeah.
say the least.
yeah, it's like because it was like, oh my god, they're doing Bloodborne 2 with calling it Bloodborne with the same kind of vibes, art
The-
style, and exclusive to Nintendo because Sony for some reason just refused to do anything.
And it's a
I-
multiplayer game.
Okay, so I need to talk about like the first part of that before that last part
Go for it, Paul.
because I will say like I was fully on board with it. I was a little disappointed that it was like only an exclusive, but I also understand this is literally the Bayonetta 2 situation
Mhm.
where they want to make the game so badly and for some reason the people who own the rights just will not give them the green light to do it. So I was like, you know what? Go do your thing. Call it whatever the heck you want. You're making Bloodborne 2 fantastic. It's like you got like the crazy Victorian thing, somehow just like relifting what Lies of P already started essentially,
Yes, thank you for saying it.
and turn it into excuse me, like deep Victorian steampunk instead of like the late 1800s that it was. But then of course going into unfortunately what they said at the end after the stream was even over with it being a PvPvE game, and I'm just not thrilled by that statement because I'm not somebody who is on I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid for Elden Ring Night Rain in the slightest. I don't want a battle royale multiplayer game with FromSoft elements. I feel like it's barely holds together as a single player game. I don't want to have to navigate that. I avoid the PvP aspect of all of those games like the plague. They called them invasions in that first game because that's exactly what it was. They were invading me and ruining my good time.
Oh, they should have called them infections.
Yeah, exactly. And And so now, like, especially with some people theorizing that what the characters we saw might also still be classes instead of like your character with like different armor and whatever. I mean, the art direction's fantastic. The world looks really cool. I love what they're doing. I appreciate their ambition, but I don't want this, especially when their multiplayer sucks so badly.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
And to be fair to Night Rain, to give us something there, that's finally the most normal like multiplayer they've ever done. It's much easier to like pair up with people. Finally.
Can you?
Well, I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but then they're having like forced 3-player situations. I don't know what that's about, but I will say, as my last little thought about it, is that we still don't know a whole lot about it, and it could be something interesting because like another game that would be PvPvE was The Division. And that was like because it had a very specific delineation between PvE and PvP like regions, and because they framed it in such a way, it made it much more interesting, where it's like, okay, you can go to this region but anything can happen and anybody can be there. Okay, cool, but if you stay in this zone you're good, and the campaign mostly focuses on this. So that's really where it's going to come down to me. So I don't want to give judgment too early because it could be something interesting, and I do very much love the aesthetic, but let's see what goes down really.
Speaking of Judgment, play Judgment. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, like the Yakuza game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judgment's great. I love Judgment. It's a great game.
It's like Yakuza, but more serious, right? It's not like this.
It's like the old Yakuza's basically.
Yeah, it's Yakuza. It's Yakuza with a mid-30s detective.
Yeah.
That's
a shame what happened to that.
30s?
Yeah.
Yagami's in like 35. Yeah, he's 35,
okay.
I think.
I will say I'm never going to forgive Judgment just on the fact that it stole the actual action style away from Yakuza.
Yeah, because they
Yakuza does not need to be a turn-based game.
It doesn't. I agree, but also Judgment is amazing, and I really like Yagami.
It's great, but they shouldn't have done
again.
that. Where they were like, "Yeah, we're just going to let Judgment be the new action for that thing." It's like, what? Hey, you really like Kingdom Hearts? Well, too bad. It all has Chain of Memories combat now. We're going to make another IP entirely and put that with all the cool action.
Man, that's
it's like,
don't get me started on Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, we're not going to go that route.
We have Kingdom Hearts fans here all over. I love it because
Paul, Yagami is 35 in Judgment, and he's 38 in Lost Judgment. So.
Oh wow, so they aged him up. Okay, got it.
So here's the thing about that.
Time went by.
if we're gonna talk about this, I totally would have been okay with that. Okay, Judgment will be the action game. If they'd have continued making Judgment, they made two of them, and I understand. I know it happened.
Making them.
I know it was because of whatever the actor's name is, talent agency.
Kimura,
yeah. It's like, okay, then get a new character and make Judgment 3.
Like, that's why I will never understand the like. We're going to rig an exact copy of this actor's face because then you are living and dying on that exact actor. That like, sure, if you have a contract with them, what happens if they die? What happens if their agency has some crazy stuff? And it's like, we've seen it work okay, but most of the time it's just like, hey, Norman Reedus in this Kojima game. It's like, I can't see him as Sam Bridges. That is just Norman Reedus, and is never going to be anybody else.
And Rick, it really hasn't been that long since Lost Judgment, if you really think about it, because Lost Judgment was,
wasn't it?
No, Lost Judgment.
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
You guys are. No, Lost Judgment is 2021, so it's really not been that long. Yeah, Judgment was 2019.
That was the one that I was thinking. Thank you. Yeah,
Judgment was 2019. Then there was Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7, and then there was Lost Judgment, and then after Lost Judgment, we had the slew of games, the onslaught of games with Ishin.
That's probably why it feels so long, because
because after Lost Judgment we had Ishin's remake, we had The Man Who Erased His Name, and then we had Infinite Wealth, all within that 1 year span of 23 to 24.
And the Pirate one this year.
Yeah, the only year we didn't have anything, I think, was 22. I don't think 22 had a release.
Yeah, that was the only one that had like a gap, because 23 was the Gaiden, 24 was Infinite Wealth, and Pirate Yakuza. And technically, the combat Judgment is in Man Who the Man Who Raised His Name and Empired one. So it's kind of hell, but it's back to wacky in the other.
I mean, technically,
it's always wacky. It's never not
well.
wacky. Stop saying it's wacky. It's always wacky. The game is always wacky. Whether the combat is wacky or not is it's always crazy. If you
I know Lost Judgment is like he's at like a school investigating like a high school. I've heard it was just
and I love it. It's so funny. You literally just run around the school smashing high schoolers' faces into like the ground, and your boot. Oh man, I love Lost Judgment. I own Lost Judgment.
I own them.
Yeah, Lost Judgment was my 4th Yakuza Platinum, so I love that game. I love those games a lot.
Bring back the heat attacks, even if you're staying turn-based. It's not Yakuza without the heat attacks.
They have the heat, like they have the essence, with the certain ones. But I will say, while we're on the topic of Yakuza, should we just skip down to the fact that they announced Yakuza Zero director's cut with a multiplayer mode for some reason?
That is wild.
It's wild that they went back to Zero, but obviously that's the game that put the series like on the map in more mainstream. Like
Zero is probably the single most popular entry of the series.
It's great.
It's where everybody says to start usually between.
And I disagree with those people, to be clear, but you start with one.
I think
you start with one,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's Kiwami.
Yeah, Kiwami is one. Yeah.
No, don't start with Kiwami. Kiwami's great. I love Kiwami. Don't start with Kiwami. Start with Zero. Also, it makes sense.
Oh no.
It makes sense that they're releasing
before this becomes a Yakuza podcast.
This is the 10th anniversary of Yakuza 0 this year. The 10th anniversary. It came out in 2015.
Really? Yes, in Japan.
In America?
In Japan.
In Japan.
Oh, okay.
Japan.
Yeah, it took a couple years to come over here.
As far in the spirit of skipping different things, some of these are less interesting than others. Like the Madden NFL is returning to Nintendo. I don't think we have a whole lot to step. But so if we wanted to skip around, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's just gonna be some.
But can we just there's a multiplayer mode coming to Yakuza 0 for some reason.
60 characters.
Why?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, it's just so funny.
Coming back to Mario Kart World, where they're just scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, you remember that random fish once? Well, he's a playable character.
You remember the penguin that you threw out in Mario 64?
Yep. He's coming back with a vengeance.
I can't tell you how frustrated and confused I feel, because the limited run games collection of 0 through 7 is not even shipped yet. I have all of them ordered. They're not even shipped yet, and they're releasing another new version of this game that I'm gonna buy because I have to buy it. Because how am I not gonna buy it?
That brain rot's real.
I mean, if you're doing it for collection purposes, I respect that. It does sound as though, even though they tried to hide it, it does sound like that director's cut content will be released later elsewhere. Because if you look at the fine print, it says coming first to Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think it's gonna come as a director's cut to other consoles. I think they're gonna resell the game to other people.
Maybe, yeah, that very well could be. Yeah,
that's what I'm expecting, and I will buy it if I need to play it, because new content, new cutscenes, new story. And I was talking to my buddy Koala, who I've mentioned on here. He's the one
he's a listener.
Yeah, he's a listener. He's Alex's sound guy. He's the one who checks the sound when it's bad for Alex.
Rick, when I told you about like the audio from the mic, he's the one that told us.
Yeah, that's Koala. That's my buddy. Yeah. So Koala is the reason I started platinuming these Yakuza games anyway. I really went through to some of the harder ones because I've been doing the lighter ones. But yeah, so I was talking with him, and he was like, "I'm not buying it again. I'm not doing it again." I was like, "If you do it, I'll do it. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. Like, I'll do it again. I'll put another 120 hours into 0 for another platinum. Because why not? I love those games. I love playing mahjong. And if it's a director's cut, they probably, will have like fixed some of the jank is 0, because it is super janky still.
Yo, I am making the promise right now on record. If it comes to PS5, I will play it, and I will
you platinum
0.
it?
I won't. It will depend if I really like it.
Platinuming a Yakuza game?
Yeah. I mean, it's on PS4. Why wouldn't you just play that version?
Exactly. We talk about brain rot. My brain rot is if I know that a better version is coming, I like to hold.
It's so bad with him.
It's terrible. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I like just waiting. If I know it's like I could start it now, I know it's technically good.
There's something else that he hates more than that. It's having too much money burning a hole in his pocket, and random games come out, and he's like, "Oh, I really want to buy the first Berserker Kazan." And I was like, "You don't even like it all that much. You've just talked about how you're burned out with that kind of game," and he just kept sharing things about it every few days.
Did you buy it?
He bought it, and he's played it, and then he got tilted about it, and then he's playing something else now.
Yeah.
It took him like 3 days.
Yeah, it took me 3 days, and then I went back to
goodness.
Ghost of Tsushima.
I mean, I can't say anything about that. I'm worse than anybody that's existed in history about something like that. So,
Hey, we all got our brain rots, including another one. A quick headline here: Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will have achievements on Switch too. So
Through the phone.
through the phone, but I don't care. It's gonna be like achievements.
I do want to mention though, there's supposedly through the phone you can now gift items to other players that you're friends with.
Mm-hmm.
So people were like, "Oh my gosh, item duping is over because you can just make like a QR code with 100 diamonds in it or something crazy."
Well, I think I read somewhere that like in Tears of the Kingdom, for example, or how you can build stuff there. You can like register it in the app, and then you can share it, and you share it to someone, and that helps them build the giant fire dick and monsters if you want to use
Penis Gundam.
I thought we had moved past this, guys. I thought we had moved past stupid second screen apps on our phones.
Smart glass. Where you turn off smart glass.
I thought we were past this stage. Like the PlayStation app, all right, it's a store and you can check stuff, but like there's no functionality there other than the workaround to share your screenshots and stuff.
And
now.
like the guide
we were done with
leading
this.
you to like Korok seeds and shrines you haven't found yet. I was like,
Go
doesn't
to
that
north.
defeat the purpose of the game though?
Yeah. It's kind of like the help feature in PS5, but now with like your Siri companion.
And it's like that. I've never seen that ever like be useful in the slightest.
Yeah, that's just if you want to complete the 900 Koroks, and hey, at least you'll get an achievement on top of just getting the poop for getting the 900 Koroks.
Wow.
what was it? Thank God, that makes it worth wasting
Yeah, right.
The one
tens of
time
hours of your life.
The one time I used the game help that I can think of on like the actual game help from Sony, from PlayStation, was for Hogwarts Legacy. And it was when the game was still new and buggy, and like there was a missing page, and I was like, where is this page? And it was showing me that it was missing and trying to show me where it was, and I'm like, I have that was a nightmare. That game had so many, that's a huge collection list, and it was broken at launch. It was terrible. And I got my platinum, but it was ridiculously broken at launch for that game.
Yeah, Paul remembers the early experience of Hogwarts Legacy. He had a video he showed me of the dragon, like T-pose.
Oh,
like,
he was flying backwards.
Yeah, it was so fun. It was so funny. It was the final boss.
Yeah, final boss just broke horribly for me. It definitely colored my experience of that game.
Exactly.
It's still a really good game. I really enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the fact that you had to play the opening like 3 hours 4 times to get the platinum.
Oh yeah, because to get the four starts with the different houses, right?
Oh, you
Yeah.
have to get the different houses. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, you had to. Yeah, there's one trophy unique to each house, and they each have their own one special mission. Hufflepuff is the coolest one, and they all have their own special mission. And I ended up getting the platinum when Jing got through it on her playthrough that she was doing on my console, and that was my platinum ding. I think.
And that's so funny.
I'm so glad that I never got the trophy brain rot, because that would destroy me.
I used to have it and I was miserable, so I'm very glad that I somehow broke out.
I don't have it
Day
as
of
bad as
Achievement
Alex.
Hunter, y'all. I was watching those Achievement Hunter videos so religiously to find everything.
I don't have it as bad as Alex has it way worse than I do, because
Alex is bad.
I'll do a grindy thing, but I won't do something that's gonna like anger me. Like it may frustrate me, like the Japanese catfight club, the Japan catfight club in Zero, or like some things may be frustrating to me, but I don't bang my head against the wall really. I would eventually give it if I don't think I can do it.
Paul had the front seat of my June, July, August, like road to try Platinum Rebirth. Remember that, Paul?
Yeah, because I would love the Rebirth Platinum, because I have the remake Platinum, but
don't do it. I'm telling you right now.
I love those games.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
I love those games to the point I refuse to try to platinum them, because
It
I
is
don't want to
entirely
dislike them.
I will
the
say-
Chadley challenges
Yes.
are completely busted.
I will say the remake Platinum, Rick, does not make me not like that game. That Platinum it's tough, but it's not one that you
It's
like
doable.
dislike the game for.
The
It
Rebirth
is-
one will break you.
Yeah, Rebirth is it's
Yeah, I feel
different.
like I would hate Rebirth with it, but I mean, but I have like all I have is the Chadley stuff and the higher difficulty. Like I cleared the map. Like I do that inherently anyway.
Yeah.
So
How many times?
So that's the other thing I'm glad I never got the brain rot for.
Yeah.
I love map clearing. I love clearing maps.
I love it,
so,
but now games are all just way too big and they take way too much of my time, and
Yeah.
I'm not doing that nonsense.
I love map clearing in AC2 Brotherhood Revelation style, like era style size, because when it's
I never
bigger,
cleared the map in those games. I hated them in those games.
Yeah,
I only caught it with the bigger ones, the RPGs and Origins, because I have Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla Platinums and Mirage, and then I ended up actually going back getting Syndicates because I was almost done with that one anyway. But I like map clearing is so fun. Like I've been playing KCD2, and I have this simultaneous feeling of look at the giant map and all the stuff there is to do, and I'm like I almost freeze. Like, what do I want to do? I still have so many like actual quest markers, not even the like, oh, I'm just wandering around and here's a random quest to go and save a man's brother from a ransom that that is not a quest marker. You just have to stumble upon it. I don't even know how many. Yeah, I don't know how many more of those are out there, but I'm like, I have so many quest markers on my map still. I just don't even know where to begin, and then I kind of just end up wandering around exploring because I just don't know.
That's why Witcher 3 broke me. Like it was, if you clear one question mark there, like 5 more like popped up.
Yeah, I had not caught the open map clearing feeling from Witcher because I cleared all of Velen. I cleared like the original map, but I didn't clear all of
White Orchard.
Relica, I think. I forget. I cleared all of one and didn't clear all of the other. I don't remember which way it went though.
And after that tangent in open worlds,
Yeah.
here's the final headlines to close out the Switch 2 talk. Kirby Air Riders is in development with Masahiro Sakurai directing. So Kirby Air Ride was like a cold hit, popular GameCube game. And a lot of people, my friends, love playing that damn game all the time. Every time we go, they would love playing Kirby Air Ride. And they waited 20 plus years to do a sequel, and it's finally here. It says coming out this year. They didn't say when, alongside like Metro Prime is another one that's a nebulous 2025 date, but that's happening. And I thought that was like cool. It'd be like, oh cool, it's like they're again playing off on the nostalgia of the GameCube right now, because it's 20 years old. The damn cube is 20 years old. And finally, and this was like straight to my heart because I love Donkey Kong so much, Donkey Kong Bonanza is the next 3D adventure coming to Nintendo Switch 2. That's coming out on July 17th, 2025. And kind of like what I mentioned before, if you looked at the art style and the style of that game, is very clear the Odyssey team made that game, confirming the long rumors from like 6 years ago.
And that's Bonanza, like a banana.
Yeah,
Bonanza.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bonanza.
Yeah, Bonanza is like playing on the words.
That's how everybody already pronounces it anyway.
Yeah, Bonanza. So,
I will say, as somebody who does not care or like Donkey Kong like in the slightest, this actually got me, because I was like, I know, I'm sorry, I missed the party. I missed the party on Donkey Kong
take
Country.
Donkey Kong over Mario every day of the week.
I never got into Diddy Kong. It was just like I never ended up getting to play it. All of my friends, because I never had like Nintendo stuff until like the Game Boy,
Game Boy Advance.
Technically Game Boy Color, but I didn't have anything but like the 101 Dalmatians game and Toy Story 2 on it, so I don't really count it really. But all that is to say, like this with the crazy destruction and all of that was just that caught me off guard, because at first I was like, oh okay, cool, Donkey Kong, and it's like Mario Odyssey or whatever, and then he just freaking blew through half a mountain and then punched out of it. I was like, excuse me, I'm gonna sit forward on this one, because I don't really even care that much about Red Faction, but that destruction really does something to me, man.
Yeah,
and Crackdown, same thing. And I Battlefield, I played that game all the way up until they actually stopped letting you destroy everything, which was a weird decision. But I love destruction in games, and this really was like, oh, okay, I might show up for this one, whatever this is. And my wife loves Donkey Kong, so it's going to be a win-win, and I'll easily be able.
Perfect.
I'll have a reason to buy the game.
I just love that we have the existence of Red Faction Gorilla as like a meme that happens.
You know what's funny? You said that, Alex, and I told you, I was like, did they say something about Red Faction? And then you're like, no, Donkey Kong. I'm like, what's he talking about? Now that Paul says that, I'm like, oh, now I get what he meant. Yeah. I genuinely know what you were talking about. Because you said it so randomly, I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's a perfect joke that it wrote. It was so obvious, and damn it, I hate that someone else.
And I said, I think I said DK Red Faction, and I didn't even think about the fact that there's literally the word gorilla in one of their games, and I was like, oh, it was right there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
One thing though,
Mhm.
and I think that game was great. Like, it was outside of Metroid, is definitely the Nintendo game I'm most looking forward to. I can't stand the way his fur looks.
It looks
It
weird.
looks so bizarre, and it drove me nuts the whole time.
Hey, what's funny is that they're using the model of original Donkey Kong from like the Mark when you're
Yeah,
playing
he looks
as
very
Mario.
young in it. Yeah, he looks very young.
So they have really reshifted how it looks. I'm so used to Donkey Kong looking like the country games, so which I assume, Rick, you're with me that Donkey Kong Country is better than a lot of the Mario games, like Donkey Kong.
All of the Mario games except for Galaxy.
Yeah, it's like that I could accept some of that because it's like I love Donkey Kong 2 so much. I've told Paul that like in the games I made, Donkey Kong Country 2 is like high up there, like in my top tier platforming, like 2D platforming. It's so good, amazing soundtrack, beautifully visually, like the challenge is like so cool. Their level design, like so the pirate motif is so cool in that game. Oh man, I love that. But then Donkey Kong has just not been prominent. I'm glad that he's headlining a big game a month after the system comes out. I'm glad that it's only a month after the system comes out. Like that's like a big. If I had to wait, like if I'm not big on Mario Kart initially, like that would be the one that I'm like, okay, I like that. Or that's where I would buy my Switch. Almost a month later, I think I'll still buy it because I'll be in the US. Whenever the time this thing comes out, I'm going to take advantage of that because I don't know how much.
So now you'll only pay $200 for a game instead of $400 or whatever.
Exactly, because I have the import taxes here, and yeah, I think that's pretty much all the headlines we got out of Nintendo. Plus, like some of like the bad news we kind of talked already, like $80 games, like a list of 120 games that are not working on Switch. You remember that? That sounds bad when you look at the list. Is like, I know you, Rick, you pointed out to me.
Probably like
yeah, it's not as well. There are some genuinely decent games on there, but they're decent games you probably played somewhere else anyway.
Yeah. And really, Ender Magnolia, which is a recent game, is not working. It's like that's weird that it's such a recent game. Is like,
oh yeah, that came out last year, didn't it?
There is
a few months ago.
No, it came out in January.
Never mind.
Yeah.
There is something else on it that I saw that just came out like last month. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah. To be fair, they're saying that they're still kind of like in development. Like you see that list, so apparently they're still kind of looking into it. So probably they'll fix that by the time we get there. I remember being more scared with the PS4 backwards compatibility and PS5 with how dog crap, like how the messaging was originally. That was like 100 games are gonna be there at launch. I was like, what are you talking about? There's thousands. And then almost everything worked except like 20 games, including Syndicate that had broken lighting for like 3 years until it finally got patched. But yeah, so that was.
You don't need working lighting to get a platinum.
Oh yeah. You want to get a stroke?
I was about to say, if you didn't want a seizure, then you needed it.
Yeah, because it was like I thought.
Depends on what you have left.
Yeah, but no, that game was like literally unplayable on PS5.
It flickered.
I really don't know.
Flickered black and white like crazy.
Did it? I never actually checked. I didn't play it. I only got the platinum at like late 23.
Yeah, it was fixed then. Like 2023 was when they finally fixed it. It took them 3 years. But I remember showing it to Paul because he was always interested to go back to Syndicate, but he only had a PS5. And I sent him videos.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that like flickering? I was like, oh no, this is gonna give me a seizure.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, if I really want to play it, I will. And I loaded it up and I'm like, no, I won't. Never mind. I'd rather load a PS4 and play it than do this.
Yeah, it was that bad. So, but then we'll see how they handle it. It's like this thing's gonna be out in 2 months. It was so funny. I joked to Brad Ellis like in his stream. That was like, man, because he was yesterday. We were talking about bets of what was gonna be there, like with the chat. And I wrote him, if this thing comes out during SGF week, I swear to God. And then he literally, and then it was revealed that he started laughing and he called me out. He was like, oh man, Slayer Jan got effed. He said it was so funny. And which, fun fact, can we announce it, Joe?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be there. Like Joe and I are gonna be in Summon Signs like next week.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's gonna be in Summon Signs for here on Patreon on Tuesday, and then next Friday you'll see that appearance. We're gonna be there.
I'll have to wait.
Yeah, you'll have to wait.
Because I am no longer a patron.
Yeah, makes sense. So, well, that was the Nintendo stuff, and we have a few release dates for things coming out next week. Joe.
Yeah,
take it away.
We have
a lot of games.
Yes, a lot of games. We have, for the week of April 6th through April 12th, we have Cursed Dawn coming to PC on April 7th. We have Descent on Mars coming to PC on April 7th. We have Burden of Command coming to PC on April 8th. Locomoto coming to PC on April 8th. South of Midnight comes to PC and Xbox Series X and S on April 8th as well. Then we have Alex.
Yes, a parenthesis there. It comes out on the 3rd. If you're paid the $10 early access, you can start playing it like 5 days early. So
right, tomorrow for us.
Yeah, tomorrow for us.
Today for listeners.
Yes, actually, the day before for listeners. We're recording very
because
early.
we're gonna try to.
Oh, you're not gonna. I thought you were gonna post it early.
Oh, that's right. Forget about it. Yes, this is going live already.
Today.
Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow, where people listen to this. We're out of order this week. Thanks, Nintendo.
Yeah. Next up, Commandos Origins coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC on April 9th. Drive Loop comes to PC on April 9th. Blueprints comes to PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PS5 on April 10th. The Talos Principle Reawakened comes to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S on April 10th. Crashlands 2 comes to PC and mobile on April 10th. Monaco 2 comes to PS5, PC, Xbox Series X and S, and on April 10th. Promise Mascot Agency comes to PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Switch, Xbox Series X and S on April 10th. Monster Energy Supercross 25, the official video game, comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on April 10th. Star Overdrive comes to Switch and PC on April 10th. Steel Steed comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on April 10th. Willow Guard comes to PC on April 10th. And Traveler's Refrain comes to PC on April 11th.
Such a long list for only one game that I'm really interested in, which is South of Midnight.
Many April 10th games.
Yeah, which reviews drop for that tomorrow. Like, again, from where we're recording. I'm really interested to see where it lands. Kind of have an idea just in our side of the fence, Joe. This is based on some of chatter that I've heard. But excited to see, like, if it's going to be Xbox tax season again. But... with that, we have reached the end of this week's episode of the X Button. Thank you, Rick, for joining us for a little bit of catharsis here. Joe, Paul, thanks for being here too for like this full panel. It's Paul. When was the last time we had 4 people? It's really almost never.
Probably the last time Rick was here, actually. For me,
no, it was only 3. It was the 3 of us.
Oh, you're right.
That was before Joe. Yeah.
That might have been like several years ago, back when Zach and PJ were in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like
even then I don't know if we ever had all 4 of us in.
Yeah, I think we were gonna have 4 and then PJ bailed on us.
Yeah.
So, because it was around Metroid Dread to kind of give an idea of when that was.
Wow.
So 4 years. So I love having.
And yet it's our shortest episode ever.
Yeah.
Ever?
I don't think it ever. Well, at least in recent times, probably. But hey,
yeah,
we kind of got in because we laser focused. But let's start with Rick. Rick, where can people find you?
All the socials. I am Butch4969. In addition, on most Fridays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a show called Spreading the Nerd with my friend Clint. We're on YouTube. We do it live. If you get a chance, come hang out. This weekend, or this Friday, excuse me, we're actually going to do a giveaway of a copy of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and whoever wins can pick what platform they want it on, and I will buy them a copy, digitally, physical, whatever. And come on by.
Yeah, I have guested there twice over the last 2 months. So
yep.
Yeah,
twice consecutively, actually, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for Monster Hunter and Shadows. And Joe, where can people find you?
You can find me at Joseph_La_Rusa on Twitter/X. You can find my writing at Season Gaming's website, seasongaming.com. I don't have anything currently in the works. I know that I think I'm on deck to review Mafia: The Old Country whenever that comes out. So
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
We don't know if we're gonna get a code or anything for it or not yet. But I will, whatever happens, I will write a review of something and share my thoughts on it. I will play that game just because at this point my commitment to playing the Mafia games is just like through, So
you're in. You did all 3 of them. Like, might as well get the 4th one.
Exactly. And this one looks like it'll be shorter than the 3rd one, so that'll be a refreshing change of pace to go back to that shorter time one.
Yeah, and on top of that, you have that kind of like write-up that you wanted to do for the Mafia games.
Yeah.
Whenever that gets its release date. So.
Yeah, whenever we're closer, I'm gonna do a write-up on just thoughts on having played those games. You can check out my upcoming appearance on Summon Sign on the Last Stand Media Network. Alex and I will be guesting there. I don't know if we're allowed to say that. I guess we are. Alex already said it, but Yeah, we'll be on recording on there on the April 7th date and be live the next day for patrons, and then 3 days later for the regular audience. So check us out there. And that's it for me.
Paul.
And y'all can always find me at Dork of Art on Twitter and Blue Sky. And one day, I swear, I'm gonna figure out how to make my video game breaking videos go back there one day.
That's the biggest tragedy. Like Paul had like if you didn't know Joe and Rick, like Paul could be like a QA tester. Like
I had a well-oiled machine of like 15-second clips of any game that I was playing where I just magically managed to clip through the ground or a wall. I direct messaged it to Alejandro because that's the only way PlayStation will let me do it now, of me doing it in Assassin's Creed Shadows.
You can save it to your phone. You save it, it goes right into the phone.
I can, but
it's so annoying for him. Like he hates.
It's just annoying because I don't want to have to deal with all of that, and the only other option is directly putting it to YouTube, and I just don't feel like doing that sometimes. Anyway, it's mostly laziness, but it was glorious at one point.
And you can find me at @A_Segovia on Twitter, @Segovia on Blue Sky, and my written content at seasongaming.com, where you can read my reviews for Eternal Strands, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Assassin's Creed Shadows, with hopefully Expedition 33 coming soon. Crossing fingers on that one. I'm very excited for that game. And a bunch of other editorials that I've written this year, including the God of War ranking that I kind of mentioned last week, and Joe and I's very funny conversation that you can go check.
That's one way to put it. Yeah.
Yes, but thank you everyone for listening to this week's earlier episode of the X Button. If you like what you listen or watch, give us a like and subscribe, and leave us a review. Thank you to everyone that left reviews on Spotify. That helps us a lot in the algorithm. We're at 5 stars, and I love that. And getting all the feedback you want. You like
how many reviews do we have on there?
I think we have like 11 reviews, so it's still there, like especially for over 2K listening, like total. I'm like, cool. It's like that's all right,
viewers. Let's get us to 13. Lucky number 13 for season 5, episode 13. Come on, give us 2 more reviews, team.
2 more reviews there. Just don't make the lower stars.
Alex will check it. Alex will check it next week.
Yes.
Quick, somebody say misinformation so they can correct us again.
Yeah. Absolutely. Every time it's so
Dragon Age Veilguard is actually the best in the series.
And there's your trigger. Yeah, there's your trigger warning. And thank you so much. Enjoy playing whatever you're playing this weekend. We'll see you next week. And also, kind of Joe mentioned, me and Joe's appearance in Summon Science this coming week. That should be a fun one. And
for sex
to play.
Good night, everybody.
Hasta la vista, baby.
See ya.